Hi, this is Gina Picard. I'm the author of A Soldier's Italian Christmas, the O'Casey Brothers in Arms, #1. It's December 1943, Italy. 2 days before Christmas, Captain Mack O'Casey gets separated from his unit during battle. He makes a wrong turn and finds himself in a small bombed-out village called Monte D'Oro Rose. It appears to be deserted, until he senses that he's not alone. Who's watching him? Find out in this excerpt from A Soldier's Italian Christmas, Chapter 1. The heavy rain had slowed to a light mist, making it barely visible in the black night, but Captain Mack O'Casey was used to moving about in the dark. He picked up his heavy boots caked with mud and kept going. His mission was to take the mountain, bring the enemy to his knees, break down their line of defense. Wandering through rough terrain, he'd grown weary of the blood and fury ongoing for days, for weeks. No wonder he was making slow progress. Hungry and tired, fighting day and night, battle exhaustion threatened to overwhelm him. He couldn't get the dust out of his mouth or the screaming out of his head. The sound of artillery was far off in the distance. Oh, but that didn't mean there weren't snipers ready to take a shot at him. A few miles back, stray bullets had blown the lid off his canteen and put a dent in his ammo can. But he came through it unscathed. Mac grinned. His men had nicknamed him Superman, and the name stuck. Oh, he didn't feel so invincible now. He gripped his rifle harder, his finger on the trigger. He smelled the enemy, his nose telling him they'd come this way. Mac recognized the sharp odor of sulfur mixed with motor oil. He was ready to fire at anything that moved, but something stopped him. An eerie quiet settled over him, a chill seeping through his heavy clothing like a cold blade. What the hell? He stopped, scarcely breathing, and listened. A stillness settled around him like he was lost in a lover's warm embrace. Strange she should think of the closeness a woman could give a man, the subtle fragrance of her body lingering as her slender fingers soothed his brow. Oh, he couldn't shake it. He had to. Up ahead, the sky cleared, revealing a bright light shining high up on the mountain. He looked harder, tried to focus. Jesus! It was shaped like a white cross. Was he already dead? Oh, his aching feet convinced him otherwise. Come on, don't let the strange cross hypnotize you into letting down your guard. Get your ass going and secure the perimeter before the Nazis put a bullet in you. Hey, Captain, what do you make of the cross on top of the mountain? Asked the man behind him, bringing up the rear. It's an illusion, Sergeant. Mac shot back, since he had no other explanation. Take cover. The enemy could be hiding anywhere in these hills. Yes, sir, Captain. No Nazis gonna fool us with their tricks. He smiled. Leave it to Sergeant Duffy. After the fierce fighting in Monte D'Oro, the two men had gotten separated from their unit and had been traveling on foot for days. Wet, even snowing weather made it impossible for them to see where they were going. Unforgiving winds tore at their field jackets, digging the straps of their backpacks into their shoulders. But they kept heading toward the bleak line of mountain on the horizon, until they came to a small village. Here they found a church facing the town square with its steeple blown off, rambling buildings that had stood for hundreds of years riddled with bullets, apple orchards and vineyards ransacked, even an ancient Roman thermal bath, all deserted. Ain't nothing here but old ruins, Captain, said Sergeant Duffy, his voice cracking with nerves. I wouldn't be so sure of that, Sergeant, Mac said. Look over here. The captain pointed his rifle toward a poster pasted on the bullet-ridden double doors leading into a small courtyard. Even in the dark, he could make out the swastika, a sight that turned his stomach. Damn Nazis are like ants, said the sergeant, spitting into the wind. They're everywhere. Even when you think you got rid of them, they're back. It's our job to see they don't come back. That made Sergeant Duffy smile. Yes, sir! Mac worked his brain to decipher the Italian words on the poster. Being the son of a proud Irisher and a feisty Italian girl had its advantages. He'd grown up hearing the lyrical sounds of a Belfast brogue blending with the musical notes of Italian. Translating the text was easy. if not heart-wrenching, a reminder of the cruelty of the Nazi invaders. It says that anyone caught out after curfew will be shot on sight. He ripped down the poster. Them Nazis would shoot anything that walked. Take it slow, Duffy, Max said, knowing deep in his gut that whatever peace he felt here, they weren't alone. You never know when the boogeyman will show up. He edged closer to the door, taking his time, knowing a barrage of bullets could be waiting for them on the other side, cracking their skulls open with sharpshooter precision or deadly explosive traps that could blow their legs off. He nodded to his sergeant to cover him. His heart pounded in his ears. Oh, it never got easy staring the enemy in the eye. But it didn't do any damn good to stand out here waiting to be picked off like wild turkeys. He kicked the door open and did a clean sweep of the courtyard when a cold chill stopped him. He froze. Someone had a gun aimed at his back. His instinct never failed. "Don't move," said a low, sultry voice in Italian. "I know how to use this." "For Christ's sakes, a female!" "We mean you no harm," Beck said in English, hoping to gain her confidence. She couldn't see him in the dark. "We're Americans, not Germans." "American!" Her voice changed. "Oh, thank God," she said in English. Mac turned around slowly and saw a young woman holding a gun on him. She bent down and turned up the wick on the lantern sitting on the ground, and light flooded the small courtyard. He didn't breathe until he was certain she wouldn't shoot him. Dark, beautiful eyes, flecked with amber, sucked the fatigue right out of him. Flashing with a wildness that surprised him, she never flinched. Looking him over with intense scrutiny, she waved the lantern up and down his body, over his boots, his uniform, the silver bars on his shoulders, and then his face. Her eyes locked with his, her lips parted. Full lips rendered her face with an exotic aura that held him transfixed. Oh, God, the girl was a beauty. Creamy complexion with a straight nose tipped at a perfect angle. Expressive dark brows crossed in thought. She clenched her jaw, but her gaze never wavered. An absolute show of power on her part. It was clear she was relieved to see him, but she didn't trust him. "I thought the village was deserted," he said, taking a moment to return her scrutiny. Dressed in a man's dark clothes and heavy jacket, he noticed mud clinging to her boots and the knees of her trousers with a torn cuff. A navy blue beret fit snugly over her head. Curly wisps of silky brown hair escaped onto her cheeks, making him wish he could smooth them back with his fingers. Kiss her cheek. "My sergeant and I have been walking for miles since the Nazi big guns cut us off from our unit." Satisfied he was telling the truth, she said, "Oh, we've been holed up here praying the Allies would come." As she spoke, half a dozen little boys raced out from the shadows and crowded around her. Oh, Max smiled. Round, chirp faces, black, unruly hair. They reminded him of his brothers back home in Brooklyn when they were kids. The oldest boy couldn't have been more than 10, the youngest about 3. What surprised him was how clean their hands and faces were. Most children he'd seen in Naples since landing near Salerno were dirty and barefoot. A familiar itch crawled up his backside. First, the shining cross in the sky. Now, a beautiful woman with a brood of scrappy angels. What holy place had he stumbled into? "Are you alone?" he asked, wondering where her husband was. Most likely fighting in the north. Ever since the devastating Allied losses at Bari, most partisans had fled into the hills. By the looks of the destruction, the village had been under attack for weeks. "No, Sister Benedetto and I stayed behind to care for the children when the town was evacuated." "You're in danger. The Germans have fortified this whole area with armed defense. Barbed wire, mines. We are never truly alone, Captain. We have God to protect us. And now the U.S. Fifth Army, Signorina." She lowered her chin, but her eyes looked directly at him. "I am called Sister Angelina." End of the excerpt for Chapter 1. Captain Mack O'Casey has stumbled into a holy place somewhere in central Italy. He has no idea where he is. And now he's met the most beautiful woman he's ever seen. And she's a nun, Sister Angelina. What's to become of them? Find out in A Soldier's Italian Christmas. He is a U.S. Army captain about a weary soldier who has lost his faith. She is a nun, her life dedicated to God. Together, they're going to commit an act the civilized world will not tolerate. They're about to fall in love. This is Gina Bakar. Oh, and don't forget, put a little romance in your life. Read a romance novel. And why not make it A Soldier's Italian Christmas? Happy holidays, everyone. See you next time. Bye-bye.